with, the other names.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
Gonna do now? Get high? Hey! Happy Wednesday, everybody. So, y'all expected Leo, but yeah, he's, I think he's on vacation again or some shit. I don't know.
Oh, no. He's busy, man. He's getting ready for an event coming up this weekend, isn't he?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me about it?
Isn't it Terrificon? Isn't that coming up this weekend?
Oh, is that what it is? I thought he was on friggin' vacation again as usual.
Well, again?
Oh, no, wait. That's usually you and me.
Well, you just got back from vacation.
That's right. I am back from vacation, but we have a hell of a show tonight. I mean, this gentleman has been in the industry for a long time and has done just about everything. And from what I
We've
understand,
tried to get him on a couple of times already.
right? And from what I understand,
We're
he's
finally pulling it off.
He's a walking encyclopedia of knowledge to boot. So, with that being said, yeah, well, you know, you heard the voice in your head, and there it is.
Right. I'm wearing my grumpy because people call me grumpy nowadays. I don't know why. Do I look grumpy?
Yeah, you look grumpy.
Actually, yes. I'm sure you're a nice guy, but you do look grumpy. Yeah, there's a smile. All right.
And that voice you heard in your head, you've heard numerous times on different shows.
Yes.
But before we bring in our guest, celebrity guest,
we have another host, right?
legendary
Another
celebrity
co-host.
guest. We have another person here with us this evening that's filling in for me because I'm filling in for Leo, and that is
who's filling in for me.
Hey, happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think I'm filling in for you since you're filling in for Ben, and Ben's filling in for Leo, and Leo has taken on the role of both you guys on vacation.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
Yeah. And because
that works.
And because you wanted to be like that, I'm going to let you introduce the guest.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Maryland, he's been in tons from Greece to WarGames to the Polar Express. He's a Beatles super fan, and he is Mr. Eddie Deezen. Yay!
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. And as far as being an encyclopedia of knowledge, in certain areas I am. But as Mark Twain so aptly said, we're all ignorant, only in different areas. I know nothing about, lesbianism or stuff like that, but I know the Beatles.
I'm learning.
I know old-time baseball, stuff like that I know.
Right.
Buddhist prayers, I know nothing about, stuff like that.
Okay. So you're not really an encyclopedia. You're one volume, depending on the subject.
Yes.
Well, there's probably a bunch of different letters in there, though. So, A through T.
Right.
A through T.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to ask. I'm not even going to ask.
TNA,
TNA. No? Okay.
No.
We won't go there yet.
Yeah, this is what happens.
That's why I did the show. I heard you were going to talk about that extensively.
Extensively. Well, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes that happens.
Question. First question. Yes. You have the coolest beginning of any podcast I've ever done. I swear to God. Why is my name spelled D-E-E-Z? There's no E-N. I see D-E-E-Z.
Oh, there's definitely an E-N at the
Yeah,
end
there's
of
an
it.
E-N there.
There's an E on
Oh,
there.
we just can't see it.
Yeah,
You just can't see it.
Oh,
I can see it.
okay.
It's because the phone cuts off part of it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, on the broadcast, it's all there. You're
Okay.
all there, Eddie. I thought maybe
So-
as we got older, you were losing letters as we lose our minds.
Yes, yeah.
Right. Well, that brings me to my first question because
Sure.
you said the EN was cut off, but I read something about you actually changed it, or you have an alternate name with AN. Is that correct?
No, that was a
Sometimes-
mistake. Some film I did, look it up. I'm not sure which one. One film has I know it's Zapped. Zapped is the only movie I did that has me billed as Ed Deezen, and one film has me billed Deezan. It's just a misprint, but my name is spelled Deezen. I was born Dezen, Edward Harry Deezen, but people would see it and they always go Dezen. It's but it's pronounced Deezen, but it looks like Dezen. So I'd be introduced to the comedy clubs. They go, and here he is, Eddie Deezen. No, it's Deezen. So Deezen looks like Deezen, and so I added the extra E.
Okay, that makes
there
sense.
you go,
You
folks,
could have
like I
added an
said.
I. That would have done it too, but then they would have called you Deezen.
Deezen, you're right. Yes.
So that was a no-win situation right there. So
Yes.
good choice on the double E.
Yeah.
Right. Oh crap! I got to click over here. I'm supposed to be doing Leo's job over here, and I forgot to bring up all the comments that are already popping in.
Oh, look at that.
Oh
Wow.
God!
So
Well,
you've done. Go ahead, Jaja.
I was wondering, Eddie. I've watched a lot of interviews with you, and I'm in prep for this. I heard you've actually thrown up in a famous toilet.
Yes. 1941. I spent the entire film. By the way, I have to ask you how you got the name Jar Jar after I tell this anecdote. I imagine it's Jar Jar Binks, right?
Jeremy, actually.
Yeah, but
Just from Jar. Somebody gets
but-
called Jar Short or what?
They call me Jar Jar just because.
Just from Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jar Jar Binks, so
Uh-huh.
it became a nickname. I don't know, 10
Okay.
years ago.
I gotcha. Okay. Anyway, 1941. If you see the movie, I spend pretty much the entire film on a Ferris wheel with Murray Hamilton's my partner, the mayor from Jaws. You know Murray's great actor. He was in The Hustler, great guy, and my dummy. I'm a ventriloquist, and I have my dummy up there. Anyway, we have a scene of there. Steven Spielberg, the director, had the whole film, the whole city of LA built in miniature. So there's a little miniature Ferris wheel of me. Now, there's a big climactic scene at the end where I get shot down by John Belushi and the Ferris wheel rolls off. Now, a lot of that can be done fake with miniatures. The Ferris wheel rolls off. But because it's Steven Spielberg, he had a whole Ferris wheel, and we literally were spinning the Ferris wheel. So Steven had the Ferris wheel spinning at top speed. Now, I get bad motion sickness, and I have the distinction of being the only actor in history. 3 of my first 4 films I've thrown up in. This is number 3 of the 4. I threw up in Grease, and I threw up in I Want to Hold Your Hand, but we'll get to that. But anyway, I get shot down by John Belushi, and the Ferris wheel spinning around and around and around. And I go, Steven, please stop. He stopped it. So Steven called me down. I go, Steven, I feel nauseous. He goes, go lay in my dressing room. Go lay down. So Steven's beautiful secretary took me and put me in the cot in the dressing room. So anyway, I'm laying there. Then I started feeling real queasy and nauseous. So I crawled on my hands and knees into Steven's bathroom, and I threw up in the toilet. And then I realized the uniqueness of the situation. I go, I just threw up in Steven Spielberg's toilet. It's an honor. And to this day, it's one of the highlights of my career.
You should have signed it while you were down there. Ben.
Yes, exactly. Now, I want you guys obviously ask the questions. I'll just touch on to the other ones real quick. Grease, my very first movie, the last day of shooting on Grease, we were filming at the carnival. It was the carnival scene, where John rings the bell and, hey, and they fly off in the car and we all wave goodbye. But anyway, Alan Carr, the producer, and Randall Kleiser, the director, and no, I think it was just those two. They came over to me. They go, Eddie, can you be in one of the rides in the carnival for the last scene? Just have you there. They go, will you be in that spinny ride? There's this ride where you stand up, you're strapped in, and you spin around. It's like an implant station. It's a horrible thing, but I'm spinning around in the ride. I said, please don't make me do that. I get really nice. They all come on. I go, no, I don't want to do it. So, but it was my first film. So what am I going to say? No. Yeah, so they strap me into this ride. They spin me around. So they finished filming. Now, if you look at Grease, you can't see anything there except the blur. The ride's on there for like 2 seconds and you can't see anything. So it was pointless. But anyway, I wobbled off the thing. My legs are shaky. I went out into the middle of a pasture. Nobody could see me. I went out into the middle of the pasture and heaved up. Blah, I threw up my first film. So that was my conclusion. That was my last day on Grease, August 2nd, 1977. I Want to Hold Your Hand, my third film. This is the first film Robert Zemeckis directed me. I play a Beatles fan. And the last day of shooting, Bob gave me a cigar to celebrate. It was December 21st, 1977. I got a cigar. I didn't know you're not supposed to inhale cigars. So I go, this is really cool, man. So I'm smoking in a cigar, which you're not supposed to do. I go to the bathroom and I heaved up. So 3 of my first 4 films I threw up in.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you have motion sickness?
Yes, I get bad motion sickness. It's bad for me. Yeah, especially if I've eaten before. On an empty stomach, I'm barely tolerable. But if I had a big lunch, I will heave up.
Okay. All right. Remind me never to Uber you.
Yes.
I was going to say to all the producers out there that might want Eddie in a film, just remember a puking scene.
Skinnies.
No, just give him a puking scene.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
You know?
And of course, the obvious jokes, the critics are usually the ones that throw up when they're seeing my films, but I won't go there.
So basically, you beat them to it.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Well,
go ahead.
They should have actually filmed it and kept it in there. I mean, it would
right.
Well, I looked at as far as which one. Grease. I've looked at it over and over. And I've seen the film. There's a carnival scene, and they just do an establishment shot. They'll show like a ride, the Ferris wheel, and they'll show the machine I was on, and it's like 2 seconds, and there's just a blur there. You can't see anybody. They could have strapped a dummy there. Wouldn't have mattered.
No, just throw a puke splatter on the screen for a second. Done.
Exactly. Yeah.
That would have worked. Wow. So you've been in a ton of stuff. I know that, I don't know if you can talk about it, but I looked something, you have something in pre-production as well right now?
Let's see, pre-production.
Is that true?
Anything in pre-production? Well, we did a bit on Critters 4. We did a little bit on that. And I did Critters 2. This is my luck. I did there was Critters, the first one. Then Critters 2 I was in. Critters 2, the main course. Critters 3, I didn't do, and then I did Critters 4. Steve got me. I did one little scene in that Critters 4. Now, Critters 3 has a unique distinction in history. It was the film debut of Leonardo DiCaprio. So I miss working to DiCaprio. I leapfrog right over DiCaprio. Another missed brush with greatness.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, because I think Critters 4 was all you can eat.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Which kind of goes hand in hand. That's why I brought it hand in hand with your puking situation.
Yeah. Right. That's the title of the new movie they're doing, the Chris Christie story. All you can eat. Yes. Sorry, I got into politics. Sorry.
Right. That's all right.
So
Actually,
is it true, as a Beatles super fan, you put out a contest, you bet like $100 against any other Beatles fan that you were...
I had that for years, Jar Jar. I had it on my old web page. I don't think it's up there anymore, but I had a Beatles question. Not only could nobody get it, I can think of Beatles questions nobody knows. Probably the Beatles themselves don't know, but I had all my esoteric Beatles questions. Nobody got it. I think there was only a few guesses made. They say like, Eddie, I'm going to take a few guesses at like 2 of the questions, I learned a new one, by the way. I just finished the Get Back documentary. I finally saw all 3 parts. This is the Beatles question nobody knows the answer to, and I'll put it out in public. What size shoe did George Harrison wear?
Ooh. I'm going to guess it. Oh, he's probably not tall. I'm going to say a 10.
I'm going to say a 7.
Okay. Jar Jar, you want to hazard a guess?
I think he had little feet.
I'm going to say an 8.5.
Okay, Ben, you almost had it. George wore an 8 shoe. When I wear a 9.5, I was surprised I wear a bigger shoe than George. But George, if you look at the end of the Get Back documentary, which is wonderful, by Peter Jackson, he says, Mal was the Beatles roadie, their personal assistant. He goes, Mal, get me this in a size 8. And there was a shoe. It's a shoe. So George said he wore a size 8. That's the first time I ever found that out. I'm always looking for new Beatles trivia.
Right. Now, isn't a man's shoe size directly proportionate to his manhood?
Yes, you're right. That's why I wear a size 14.
George. Yeah.
I have to have my shoes specially made.
So being a Beatles fan, it must have been pretty cool being casted on I Want to Hold Your Hand. It's pretty much just a story about you.
Exactly. I basically play myself. That's the film I play close to myself. I play a total Beatles freak, so I got to play myself. I play a character called Richard Ringo Klaus. And Bob Zemeckis is, I've said it to this day, since 1978, I've been saying 77. Bob Zemeckis is the best director I ever worked with. He remembered me all those years later, and he wrote me into the Polar Express. So he's a wonderful guy, a pleasure to work with. And that was the first film Steven Spielberg ever produced, too. So I got to meet Steven and, know him on the set, and he was a great guy. And then I worked with him in 1941.
Nice.
So we do have a couple of questions that popped in on the internet.
Sure.
Some person, I'm assuming I know who that some person is, said some info. Eddie was on the Gilbert Godfrey podcast.
Yes, that was my bet. This one notwithstanding, that was the best podcast I ever did. The most fun podcast, the best questions. Gilbert was very, very intelligent, very insightful, and we were pals. I loved the guy. Unfortunately, he passed on when I was in the hospital last year. So like a lot of people I love, but I loved Gilbert. He was a great guy, and that was a great podcast. I'm sure you can get, look at it somewhere on the internet. You can get it.
Right.
Yeah, it's available.
His interviews were the best. Yeah, his interviews were wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. And then Matthew says, do you know the Rosebud Beach Hotel?
Oh my God, yes, that's one of the real Grades Eve movies I did. That's way back. Now I might have worked, I'm not sure, is that where I met? Because I worked with Peter Scolari once before Polar Express. That might have been where I met Peter Scolari. I don't know if he was in that cast. Was Peter in? Okay, that's where I knew Peter Scolari, because when we did Polar Express, he was an old pal of mine, and he was the sweetest guy in the world. Another guy that just passed away last year, I think. So last year was a bad year for great people going.
So I'm going to take a quick break here and say, if you want to find out more about Eddie, check the show notes up above or down below. But Eddie has a cameo now, and I believe if you want something special for a loved one, you got to head over to Cameo. Mention that Still Toking With sent you, and I don't know. We'll see what happens for you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. But check the show notes up above or down below, right, Jeff?
Yeah, all the links are right there for everybody.
Above, down below.
Well,
depending on where you're listening to us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you're watching us, they're up above or down below. If you're listening to us, I have no idea where the podcast algorithm puts it, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now
Fonzie, Siskel and Ebert, Uncle Sam. Those are my points.
So
We want you.
you know, I'm going to bring this up right now because I need to know if if it's actually true or not. I didn't have
Sure.
enough time to actually verify this information. But you
I don't
played a
even know her. I never met her. I never.
You played a character by the name of Sphincter.
No, that would change. That was Beverly Hills Vamp. That was oh my God, that's the worst movie I ever did. A Polish vampire in Burbank. Yeah,
Yes.
that was the worst movie. And I think I was a character called Sphincter, but I think they changed it. But they might have changed it back. I don't know. Scott Alexander was the director. I think a very nice guy, but it just was a very low budget job. Yeah.
Well, because I read that, and the first thing that popped into my head was, "What an ass!"
Really? Yes. Well, whatever you're into, your personal preference.
So Matthew also asked if you know Bully McGuire.
Bully McGuire, who's that? Is he a Facebook friend?
I don't know.
Bully McGuire, Bully McGuire. The name doesn't ring a bell.
First he said Billy McGuire, and then he corrected himself with Bully McGuire. But
unless he's a Facebook friend, so I don't know. I have a lot of Facebook friends. I might have forgot his name. But I love my Facebook friends. Is he a Facebook friend?
Oh, I don't know, but do you run your own social media, or is it a bot that we're all following? Because you're hilarious on there.
Oh, thank you. No, that's all me. That's my joy. I love my Facebook. I love my Facebook friends.
Years, and yeah.
Thank you so much, Jar Jar. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I love some of the stuff you put up there.
Thank you.
I'm like, wow. Jeff Peterson just chimed in and said you were great on Duckman.
Oh, I love Jason Alexander is a mensch.
Yeah.
Totally great guy. I love him. Great guy. Pleasure. I was so stupid and ignorant, okay, in these days. I hadn't seen Seinfeld yet. So I met Jason the first day and I go, boy, you were great in that potato chip. He had a commercial on the Super Bowl where he parachuted and it was about potato chip. And I go, boy, you were great in the potato chip. He must have thought, what a schmuck. It's like everybody else in the world see that. And then, of course, I started watching Seinfeld and I became an addict like everybody else. I've seen every episode and you know how wonderful he is. But at that time, I had only seen him in that commercial. I was a late comer in Seinfeld, late on the bandwagon.
Right.
Wow. Actually, I was too.
Yeah, I was.
Great show. It's funny. We were talking about it today. Me, Steve, my manager, and his beautiful wife, Denise, we were talking. And I go, was that the last show we were all united as a country where we'd all, everybody would watch it and we'd all talk about the next day? I think we're so diverse now. We're so diversified and, split up as a nation. Was that the last TV show we all agreed on that we all thought it was great?
That or American Idol.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Right. Steve watched it last night. In fact, he watched American Idol last night, but I don't watch that.
Yeah, I did it.
American Idol was like Steve was saying they were these guys crack coconuts with their heads last night or something. I go, is that like the new Gong Show? My TV debut was on the Gong Show where they had all these weird acts. Yeah,
really?
That was my big debut. I got gonged by Paul Williams.
Oh, what were you trying to do? A comedy?
I did a stand-up. I did my stand-up routine. I got gonged by Paul Williams. Now get this. Cut to like 45 years later, I go to a voiceover job, and who's sitting there? Paul Williams. So I go up and I go, Mr. Williams, I'm Eddie Deezen. You gonged me on the Gong Show. Do you remember? He goes, I'm so sorry. I go, Mr. Williams, it was a lark. He goes, no, please forgive me. I go, Mr. Williams, of course I forgive you. It was a jokey show. Nobody took it serious. He goes, you don't understand. He goes, I'm an Alcoholics Anonymous. We have to apologize to anybody we might have hurt over the years. So if I hurt you in any way, I go, Mr. Williams, you're absolved. Please don't worry about it. He was a really sweet guy, but he really wanted to be forgiven for gonging me.
Wow, that's hilarious. Good thing it's anonymous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you have any stories from working with Weird Al on the Weird Al show?
No, I met him. He was a very, very nice guy. But I said I can't remember lines. That's always been my problem. I have a hard time remembering lines. So he cast me as the man behind the wall. So I wasn't seen on the show. I was behind the wall, and I would just read my lines back there. Hi, da 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 da, and that's how I did that. But he was a great guy. I met him once, and he was a wonderful guy. I hope he's doing well.
Have you always had a hard time remembering lines?
Well, it's funny. In the early days, I couldn't remember them. I would go in, like any actor, the night before shooting, I'd go in my room, lock the door, and I'd rehearse my lines, and I'd do them the next day. And if you look at the film I did, Mob Boss, it's actually one of my funnier B movies where I get to make out with Morgan Fairchild. But I do a long speech at the end of Mob Boss, and that was without cue cards. So I was capable in those days, but I think I'm 66 now. It might be, I always had a problem with it. Because like in my early days when I did stand-up, when I worked at the Comedy Store and I did the Gong Show, I even had cue cards then. I took little index cards and hi, this is Eddie Deezen, da-da-da, clap, clap. Sure, but will you respect me in the morning? That was my routine line. And I read the whole routine off cue cards. They were all these jokes I did. but I was capable up till Mob Bus, so I was able to do it till then. But how I started into it was I did WarGames, the movie WarGames with Matthew Broderick, which is a really good movie.
One of my
Love
favorites.
that movie.
One of my
Thank
favorites.
you, Ben. Thank you so much. And I did my scene, and I couldn't pronounce the words data encryption algorithm. I kept screwing them up. They go take data endocrine algorithm, cut, data endocrine algorithm, cut, and I kept messing them up. So finally, the director, my director was Marty Bress, who later did Beverly Hills Cop.
Mm-hmm.
He crooks his finger. He goes, Eddie, let's take a little walk. It's like the mafia. We're going to take you for a little ride. You know, he puts his arm around my shoulder. We go for a walk around the studio. He goes, Eddie, this is verbatim what he said. He said, Eddie, you're costing the studio a lot of money because we're going to get you idiot cards. And he had accent on idiot. He goes, we're going to get you some idiot cards. Like, I couldn't pronounce that one line. Anyway, he got me cue cards. We went back. Bang, I did it in one take. The new data encryption algorithm. Cool. We did one take. So I realized this is cool, cue cards. So I read them. And, you know, Bob Hope used cue cards all the time. Marlon Brando used cue cards. Some people use them. So a lot of shows, they get me cue cards. Like I do films with Fred Olen, Ray, they have cue cards around the set. So they help me out a lot. I think if the chips were down and I really had to do a role, I think I could buckle down and memorize it. But because I'm kind of lazy and directors are nice, I usually get cue cards now.
Well, it must be great in the whole the voiceover roles that you get to do.
Yeah, exactly. Voiceovers are a piece of cake. Voiceovers are a joy. First of all, you don't have to look good. You can come in unshaven, sloppy clothes. You know, a real role in a movie or a TV show, you're made up. You have to wear a wardrobe, be shaven, you look really good. But voiceovers, you go in, cartoons, you go in, you just do it. It's a 2-hour gig, you know, and you say goodbye to everybody. Yeah, and you're well paid. It's nice.
Nice.
No. Now, in today's world, don't they use teleprompters instead of cue cards, right?
Teleprompters, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
that would be
even though there are some that can't
cards.
even use those.
Who can't?
We won't get into that.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm not going to go down that road.
Okay.
There are some that can't even read those.
Yeah, we know where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm
It's
not
a
going to.
puppet
I
that
won't
can't.
take it down.
It's a
that
puppet
road.
that can't walk upstairs or ride a bike.
Right.
So do you ever fan out with anybody?
I'm sorry?
Do you ever fan out with anybody that you're working with? Fanboy out with anybody? Like when you were working with Tom Hanks on Polar Express?
Well, we finished Polar Express, and I hugged Tom. I miss him. He's the greatest guy I ever worked with. Everything you hear about him is true. He's a mensch. He's the mensch of all mensches. The last day, he goes, Eddie, I hear you're a Dodger fan. Yeah, he goes, do you want to go to a Dodger game with me? So I'm like, a baseball fan sitting in Tom Hanks' box seat. So it took me to 3 games. So I'll tell you the beautiful story. The first game, I had a really close friend. His name was Tommy. And he had Lou Gehrig's disease, which is a degenerative disease. His body was atrophying. He was losing control of his motor controls. We would be, and this guy was a really good looking guy. He drove this sports car, really cool guy. And we were best pals. But his body was degenerating. And I would literally catch him. I learned to catch him. He would be walking and he would fall over. And I learned to catch Tommy. He literally would have fallen on the floor and I would learn to catch him. And he would, this is horrible to say, but I'm being honest. He would spit in my food sometimes. We talk, hey, Eddie, because his motor control, he spit in my, and I'd go, Tommy, and I had to keep my control because he couldn't help it. But he ruined my meal. I have this beautiful chow mein, shrimp chow mein, and he would spit in my food. But anyway, I took him to the first Dodger game. I go, I'm going to bring my friend Tommy. So I brought Tommy to the game, and Tommy comes in. He's kind of gnarled. I don't want to say a cruel word, but he was spastic, I'll say. He was kind of that way. And I brought him in, and I'm sitting in the box seat, and I go, oh, my God, is this going to be a train wreck? I brought this guy to the game. Anyway, I looked down. I got some food. Tom has it. When you go to Tom Hanks' box seat, he has this buffet there, this silver buffet, all the dishes, hot dogs, hamburgers, coleslaw, potato salad, all this great stuff. Anyway, I looked down, and Tommy's talking to Tom Hanks, and he was it was hard to understand him. Hey, how are you? And I noticed Tom Hanks, and Tom was listening earnestly, nodding his head, listening to every word, and Tommy's talking to him, spilling his guts out. And Tom Hanks, he's such a wonderful, beautiful guy. He's just listening. And I'll never forget how he listened earnestly to everything he said. And then Tom took out a baseball and he signed it for Tommy. And Tommy kept, Tommy passed away. This is 2005. But he gave Tommy that baseball autographed by Tom Hanks. And Tommy treasured that baseball the rest of his life, which wasn't that much longer. He died a few months after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Holy crap. Wow. What a nice gesture, though.
Yeah, he was incredibly kind. I have so many great Tom Hanks stories if you want to get into that, but that's one of the many Tom Hanks stories I have.
That's a whole show in itself.
Yeah.
And
like a sweet man.
And Tom is a great actor, but this show is about Eddie Deezen.
That's true.
All about Eddie Deezen. And we do have more questions that popped in.
Sure.
Let's see. I'm gonna skip that one because that's a whole ton of stuff there. Sam Patty wants to know, hello, were you in Reanimator in 1985?
Hi, Sam. You have to look it up on IMDb. I don't remember that one, but it sounds vaguely familiar. Okay. Steve, my manager's here. He says no. So Steve knows me better than me. I guess not. There are some credits I have. I swear to God, I have absolutely no memory. Some you remember fully and vividly. You remember every second of it. But some I just forgot. You do. I did a bunch of cartoon shows and you just forget them.
I'm amazed you weren't in Revenge of the Nerds.
Good question. That's one of the most questions I get most frequently asked. Okay, I did a movie called The Whoopie Boys, which the guy that produced it was named Adam Field, who was also, I think he produced Revenge of the Nerds too. And of course, I asked him, I go, Adam, why was I not cast in your film? All the time, because I've been mistaken for that guy. Weren't you guy in Revenge of the Nerds? I get that more than any other person. Anyway, I asked Adam, and he goes, "This is what he told me." He said the joke of the film was we wanted to get regular, good-looking guys and put glasses on them and make them act geeky. He goes, "You're already a geek." He goes, "You're already a nerdy guy. You were born that way, so we didn't want you." That's what he told me. Now, whether he was trying to placate me, I don't know. He might have been trying to placate me and be nice, but that's what he told me. I would have liked to have been in that movie. It was a legendary movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it was a great movie.
A perfect fit.
Let's see. What did you think of Mystery Science Theater episode that made fun of Laser Blast?
Hilarious. It's 100 times better than the film. People that ask about Laser Blast, I go, don't see the movie. See the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version. It is hilarious. I wish they'd do more of my movies because I love Joel. I think they're geniuses. Crow, Joel. I love that show. It was my favorite show for a long time in LA, and I was honored to be on it. And they took a mediocre film and made it really funny, and that should be the immortal film, their version.
That's cool.
Right.
Well,
so,
okay.
And Old Dirty. Oh, come on. What did my computer just do? Oh, there it is. Old Dirty Fatty said, Eddie just made me have feelings with the Tommy story.
Oh, yeah.
So you gave somebody feelings that probably didn't have them, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. So moving on.
Well,
and Carrie wants to know, what cartoons have you voiced? That's why I skipped that one, because there is a
that's a whole.
There is a
I've done a bunch. The biggest, I don't know if you count it as a cartoon, but the Polar Express is, of course, the big one. I don't know if you count that as a cartoon. That was motion capture, and we kind of look cartoony. People think it's a cartoon movie, but we did every movement in that. It wasn't a cartoon. Every day we go to makeup, it was me, the four top main characters, Tom Hanks, Peter Scolari, me, and Nona Gay, who is lovely, and she's a daughter of Marvin Gaye. She was so wonderful. But the four of us, we go to makeup every day, okay? We got in a scuba suit. We get it put in a scuba suit. They glue a scuba cap to our heads. Literally, they put it on with paste, and it had to be pulled off at the end of the day. Now, every day they put 152 dots on our face, literally with a pen, with a Sharpie or whatever, 152 dots, and then they would glue 152 electronic things there. Somehow that's how they did it. And we all have these dots on our face. So the whole film, me, Tom, Nona, and Peter looked like we had the measles. We had these dots on for 10 weeks. We did this ordeal, but it was a joy. The makeup was hard, but it was a joy because the people were so wonderful. And then they'd shoot us with some kind of thing, some kind of special camera, and we would do the whole thing. Then they would bring these little kids in. They had a kid Tom, little me, little Peter, little Nona, and they would do the same scene. And somehow they morphed our scenes together. It's like our movements, but the little kids were the movements on the cartoon, if you can understand that. It was our voices. We definitely voiced it. For some reason, Steve and I were talking about this yesterday. For some reason, they didn't use Peter Scolari's voice. I'll never know why, but it's Tom's voice, my voice, and Nona's voice, but not Peter's voice. He was like the sad boy, the sad kid in the film. But the other ones are us, and the movements are ours. But they were like morphed into a kid's bodies. So if you can understand that, I know how weird it sounds, but it was the first motion capture film. It was very complex. Yeah. But it was one of my bucket lists. I'm Jewish, but I love Christmas. I love Christmas, and I always wanted to do a Christmas movie.
Was it like a rubber suit, like a
diving suit? Literally scuba suits. They were literally like their skin-tight scuba diver suits. I don't know why they had us in them, but all four of us had to wear them.
It wasn't.
I went to see that in theaters. It was great.
Oh, thank you, thank you so much. Yeah, it plays every Christmas, and I love it. I love the movie. So I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
But
because we talked to somebody then, didn't we, who did the same thing, but they had to wear a latex suit, wasn't it? Latex?
It was a latex suit with little balls.
With the little balls. Yeah, they were doing a video.
Maybe that's what, because technology's come so far in 20 years. Yeah. Maybe that's what motion capture is now. I don't know. This was
Okay, I
kind
was
of,
just curious.
you know, the way technology's going, you know, we go so far with it, so it just goes further and further. But that was the first.
Well, once you scan, then they don't need you anymore.
Where you do the voice, right?
With this new AI, once they scan you, they don't even need you anymore. They can just
Is
do
that
what
right?
they need to do. That's
They
what
did.
I'm
In other
hearing.
words, they just scan your body, and they can move your body any way you want and all that.
Pretty much.
That's what the AI is doing.
That's interesting. Okay. So that's kind of like a cartoon. A cartoon, they do whatever they want with you, and you just voice. All they need is your voice. Right. So anyway, to answer that, whoever the lady was, to answer that, I've done Duckman. I did Darkwing Duck. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo. I did a bunch of Scooby-Doos. Oh, my big one was Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah,
I was Mandark. I did 20 of those. I was Dexter. I was Mandark on that, the bad guy, and that was a joyous show. And again, I'm not trying to get morbid on your show, but the beautiful Chris Kavanaugh, she left us way too soon. I loved her. She was the original Dexter. And then another great girl replaced her named Candy Milo, who was great too. But I was special friends with Chris Kavanaugh. I did her first job ever with her. I did a first radio spot with her. We were really special friends. And her passing away was horrible.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So I am going to say you don't look your age.
Oh, thank you. I don't act my age either.
No,
remember that Three Stooges? Did you ever see the one where the Three Stooges where they act as little kids and they go, Mo goes, act your age, and Curly goes,
oh, that's great. Oh.
So have you ever tried contacts instead of glasses?
Yes, as a matter of fact, well, Polar Express, you know, I wore them all the way through. Polar Express, they couldn't have my glasses, but Motion Capture wouldn't work. So I did work on it. It was such a big budget movie. It was like the biggest budget movie ever, I think, at the time, or the biggest budget anime. It had some kind of record. But they literally had a guy. His job literally was just to put my contacts in and take him out at the end of the day. That was the guy's whole job. So the guy got paid for that. You know, he puts my contact lens in, then he waits 8 hours, then he takes them out. That was the guy's job. So yes, I wore them all through that. As far as real life, I did try wearing them once. My dad bought them for me, but again, my dad and I, we were like oil and water, and he bought me the contacts, and I couldn't wear them, you know. And Dad was, oh Jesus, I paid money for those. Well, let's not get into that. But I did try wearing them as a kid. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But great. I mean, that's kind of your look anyway. I mean,
it's kind of my look. It's kind of like Woody Allen wearing contacts. It doesn't look right. Woody Allen should wear glasses, you know.
Right. Okay. I was just curious. You ever tried?
Yeah, no, I did try and they hurt. Now, when I did Polar Express, we talk about technology. When I was a kid, they were really hard contact lenses. They were like putting little rocks in your eyes. But when I did Polar Express, you couldn't even feel them. They had, you know, soft contacts. So it's like you don't even feel it. So it's different nowadays.
Yeah. So what did you do today? I got to poke Eddie in the eye all day long.
When did they pay a guy to do that?
Sergio's joining us a little late. I know Eddie from somewhere. I think it's called Grease the movie. Yes, Sergio, he is from Greece.
Yes, I'm from Greece. That was my first movie, and I always say I won the lottery because most people's first films are turkeys. They're usually low budget films. A few people started, like, you know, Orson Welles, of course, but other people started big films. But I lucked out. Even though I have a very small role, I started out in Grease. You know, probably the most beloved musical of all time, or one of them. So I lucked out. I got into a grade A movie.
I mean, my wife knows that movie word for word.
Yeah, it's more special, I think, just from my own personal experience. It's more special to women and girls. They go, like, guys like it, but women and girls go gaga over it, you know. It's kind of like the way guys like Rambo or whatever, you know, a guy, Dirty Harry or something. Right. But women love Grease. I've talked to so many girls. When we had VHSs, you know, I talked to 3 girls who literally broke their tape. They said, I played so many times, I broke the tape. I had to get a new one.
How come Grease 2 doesn't?
I talked to people who watched it hundreds of times.
I was just going to bring up Grease 2. You know, I mean,
I'm sorry?
No, I was just going to bring that up. Judge, I brought up Grease 2.
Yeah.
Personally, I wish they didn't even do that.
Yes. You know what's funny? Jeff? I was reading I swear to God, I was looking through one of my articles. You can see it on the internet. I wrote an article called 14 Films That They Shouldn't Have Made a Sequel To. And I wrote about Grease 2, just like you're saying. And I go, this was a mistake from the word go. Just leave it alone. When you have a classic film, leave it alone. You know, it's like you try to parasite your own product. You know, you're like being a parasite of your own product. It's like, leave the great films alone. Make new films. Or if you have to do it, make it sequel of a bad movie. Try to make it good. Try to make it better. But when you have a great film, you know, don't make a sequel of Citizen Kane. Don't make a sequel, you know, of Casablanca. Leave Grease alone.
Right.
But they did it.
I agree. If they were going to do that, they should have, the way I see it, they should have just made a whole separate movie about one of the lead characters and made it
Maybe
completely different.
Maybe that. I always thought, Jeff. I was telling Steve last night, and I've always thought. I thought at that time, that point in time, 1982, they had Michelle Pfeiffer. By the way, I talked to her once on the set. She was like Marilyn Monroe, beautiful. And I just go up to her, I go, "You're beautiful." And she goes, "Thank you." Like an idiot. That's all I talked to her the whole time. Anyway, I always thought they should have got for Sandy, they should have got Britney Spears. She would have been a great singer. She could sing, she could dance, and she was kind of like a wholesome girl. And now she's a different Britney Spears now, of course, because our lives change. But in 1982, they should have got Britney Spears. She could have been a good Sandy, and maybe they could have made a decent film out of it. Maxwell Caulfield was a totally, totally nice guy, but this was Maxwell. The first day on the set, he calls me into his dressing room. We have tea and cookies. He serves me. He's a British guy. And he poured me some tea, and we had these little tea and cookies. And I'm going, this is going to die. I go, this movie is going to die so bad because this guy is not going to fill John Travolta's shoes. It wasn't the right casting. Yeah. People don't want to see a proper British guy in Grease. That's just not what they want. Maybe he could have been right. Maxwell is an excellent actor. He's a wonderful guy and a great actor. He could have done dozens of other films, but don't cast him in Grease. Now, maybe Michelle Pfeiffer, maybe, but I don't know. She just didn't quite fit either. But maybe she could have been like a raunchy Sandy. I don't know. The Sandy, the Sandy that comes out in the end of Grease in the suit, in the tight black outfit. Maybe she could have done that.
Woman.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. Now, somebody like Henry Winkler could have filled Travolta's shoes in a movie like that.
Maybe. Now, by the way, here's what I heard. This I didn't know until Mr. Joel Thurm cast. I still call him Mr. Thurm, but his name is Joel Thurm. He cast Taxi, and he cast us in Grease. And he told me something I've thought for 45 years, and it's totally out there in urban legend. He said Henry Winkler was never considered for the role of Danny Zuko. The thing is that he turned it down. The big urban legend is Henry Winkler was offered the role, and he turned it down. It was a big mistake, blah, blah, blah. But Henry Winkler was never offered that role. And this is according to Joel Thurm, so he would know.
I'm trying to remember. I just read something like a week ago about who they actually casted originally for that part.
Mm-hmm.
And the name I can't.
So there was somebody before John they wanted.
Yes.
Okay. And what, he had another project or what?
I can't remember what the hell happened.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up again. But it was an interesting take because, without Henry Winkler, that show never would have got off the ground.
I don't think so. Henry is such a wonderful actor. He's always entertaining. Maybe he could have done good, but again, Grease was like lightning in a bottle. And when you get a film like that, it's got every single thing has to be right. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like these wonderful, wonderful films that are magic to all of us. Everything, the casting has to be right, the director, the script, the choreography, and Grease was one of those films. It just, everything came together. So Henry was probably, wouldn't have been the same lightning in a bottle, as great as he is. I'm a huge Henry Winkler fan.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, like I was saying, we have another question that came in, and they want Michelle wants to know how it was working with John Travolta and Olivia.
John Travolta was the nicest guy ever. He was the most wonderful, nice guy. Okay, my first scene in Grease, I come down the stairs and the T-Birds mess with me. Okay, yeah, exactly. After every take, he called me buddy, by the way. He go, "You okay, buddy?" So I come down and say, "Take one." I walk down. "Hi." Then they mess with me. Cut. Done. "Are you all right, buddy? Are you okay?" Take two. "Hi, you guys." Cut. Take two. "You doing okay, buddy? Do you need anything?" He was very solicitous, like an older brother. Just a totally, totally great guy. I can't say enough good things about him. I just loved him so much. And he watched over me like I'm that. I'll tell you a little Grease trivia, by the way. I want to tell you guys first so you'll get the scoop. This has never been revealed on any podcast or revealed by any Grease cast member. This is a totally new Grease trivia. It's not anything big, but it's trivia. To answer your question, by the way, John was just a great guy. I want to make sure that's said. I love John. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the last scene in Grease, where we all wave goodbye, and the red convertible, of course, goes that iconic shot, and John and Olivia wave goodbye. That's an iconic shot. Now, they did their part. It was fine. The scene where we're all on the field waving. There was like every actor, dancer, and extra, everybody. There were like hundreds of people on that field, okay? And they did a big wide shot of us waving. Okay, so we did that, fine. Now, the next day, this is true. They came in, and I've never heard of this happening in a film, but they said, and I think this is true, some kind of glitch happened, but I think they said, we forgot to put film in the can. I think they said there was no film in it, and we did have to film that again. That scene of us waving was filmed again the next day, and I think it was because they forgot to put film in the can. As dumb as that sounds, I think that's what happened.
Boy.
Wow. Yeah, so that's Grease trivia for you.
Well, now there was a theory going around a few years back that the ending scene where they fly off in the car like that, it was supposed to signify something that
Kevin,
that they
that
actually
they
died in a car crash, and the
Isn't that
entire thing
horrible?
was a dream.
Yeah, well,
Really?
Randall Kleiser, our director, just totally denies that. Randall would know. He said that's total baloney. Just some gnarly
I
person
figured
made
it
that
was.
up. How to take a beautiful and one of the most beautiful, iconic scenes in movie history, one of the most beautiful endings, and make it gnarly. That does it. So that is totally not true.
Right. And I just looked up who was originally cast. And to play the Fonz in Happy Days.
The Fonz. I thought you meant Danny
Boland.
Zuko.
Yeah, no. In
Happy
Days. Part. In Happy Days, and it was
Mickey Dolenz audition. I know.
Yeah, and he was one of the top leads for the part, but they ended up giving it to Henry. So
I wonder if Mickey could have done it. I don't know. It's interesting because we always, you automatically always think of Mickey as a monkey. We kind of have that fixed in our mind, but I don't know. He was always my favorite monkey. I thought he was always the most talented monkey.
He was the one behind.
Well, for a monkey, he's pretty talented.
Yeah, I thought this is my own opinion. It's my subjective opinion. I think he had one of the greatest voices in rock music history. If you listen to some of those monkey songs, his voice is wonderful. He had a great voice, and the inflections. He was just really talented guy.
I mean, we just saw him a couple of weeks ago here in Massachusetts, and I sat in on a panel he was doing. And one of the statements that he made was, "The Monkees are not musicians. It's a TV show."
Right.
Simple as that. And he was very emphatic about that. We were not a band. We are not musicians.
They were there were two of them were musicians, actually. Two. Davey, I think, and Mickey were actors. Mike was a musician, and Peter was a great musician. So they were in that sense. But he's right. It was casting for any other role. He always says it's like saying that Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, was not a Vulcan. He uses that as an example. You're an actor and you take whatever role you get. In other words, I can't do anything, but if they were casting for a musician and I could go up for it and they could take it, I'd be a musician, But I think maybe because their records were so good, And then, by the way, they did start doing concerts and, having selling out houses. So they were so talented, they pulled it off.
Right.
Yeah, which is absolutely amazing.
Speaking of talented, somebody said, you have a lot of energy. What is your secret?
I'll tell you. Let me tell you this, and I'm not trying to give you insincere flattery. This is such a wonderful podcast. You guys are so wonderful, and it's so cool. This three-way thing. I've never done this. Your questions are wonderful, and you're such great guys. So I'm really enjoying myself. I hope, by the way, I can play this on my Facebook page. I hope you can show me how. I really want to play this. This one I really want to play.
No, absolutely. I can get the link over to Steve afterwards and.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Get this playing.
But anyway, I've always had a high metabolism. When I was in the first grade, I swear to God, my school teacher would tie me to my chair with a jump rope. I was always running around the class. People say, if I was nowadays, I would be a Ritalin kid. They would give me Ritalin. But in those days, you were just energetic, and I'd have to try to hold myself down. But I always was running around. I always had a lot of energy.
Did you play sports?
Yeah.
I played 1 year church league basketball. I was on the Maccabees, our Jewish team, the Maccabees. I scored 18 points in 18 games, a 1.0 average. I was a terrible player, but my dad put me on the team, so I wasn't good at that. Baseball, I played third base one day, and there was this girl I had a crush on in school named Joyce, and she was watching the game. And this is a typical Eddie Deezen story. There was a guy on third, and the catcher threw the ball to me, and he hit me right in the head.
No.
That was typical Eddie Deezen story. It's a true story. So in front of the girl I love, I made a total fool of myself.
Real quick, speaking of girls you love.
Yeah.
I heard through a grapevine something about Tanya Harding.
Yeah, we made out. I made out with Tanya Harding. We did a Chiller Theater, a signing show together. This is like maybe 20 years ago. And Tanya was there. And this is right after the incident, where with Nancy Kerrigan with having her knee broken. And Tanya was there. And at that time, we might have mellowed to her now. I don't know. I think she's a little mellowed. There was a movie about her and all this stuff. But anyway, at that time, she was looked on as a real villain. It was like she was a villain there. Not the O.J. Simpson level, but she was like, and she got no bite. She was there all alone. She was just sitting there all alone, and I felt sorry for her. She literally was just sitting there, and that's so you feel nothing's worse than doing a science show and you're just there. It's kind of like a comedian telling jokes and you get crickets, but that's the version of a science show. You sit there and you get no bite, no line. You feel like a fool and you're not making any money. And it's horrible. So I went over and started kibitzing with her. We started chatting and talking and we got to be friends. She's actually a very, very lovely girl. She's very nice. And, we were just talking and I thought she was attractive and we just started making out. Nature took its course and we started making out. And I'll tell you, she's a great kisser. She has beautiful, soft soft lips, and we made out for a while. So that was one of my great makeout stories. It was a pleasure, and we got to be friends. Anyway, he gave me an autographed picture of her. So I'm finishing up, and this mafioso guy, this might have been one of the guys who was in with the breaking the kneecap. He goes, "Hey, Tony wants a picture of you." It's like this big guy, this mafia guy. So yes, sir. So I signed a picture and gave it to her. But, you know.
But speaking of signing pictures and things like that, Eddie does have a new cameo out there, folks, which you can find in the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. You know, head over there, tell them that you heard it at Still Toking With, and I don't know, maybe they'll do something for you. I don't know.
Yeah. They're fun. We do it all the time. Steve films me. Steve's a great director, and he directs me. He directs me to, you know, okay, this is Mary. She wants to say happy anniversary. Her husband is Bill. And we do them, and they make people happy. You know, it's nominal money. We don't do it for the money. It's to make people happy. Steve and I love making people happy, and it's a joy to do it. They're fun, you know.
Right.
And of course, especially with the strike on now. Not that I was doing movies anyway now, but with the strike on, cameos are totally legal. They're fun, and yeah, it's a nominal fee too. Very cheap.
Somebody said they loved you in 1941. Someone else said they loved you in Midnight Madness.
Thank you. That was fun.
Comments. I just can't.
I have stories about all of them. I have a lot of Midnight Madness stories. Whatever you want, you guys ask away.
You know. So, go ahead.
Well, what I want to know is a little bit more personal about you.
Sure.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. Always been a dog. I was never crazy about cats. I mean, I don't dislike cats, but you know, when I first came to Hollywood, I found a stray cat and I took it in my room. I called her Thirsty, or him or her Thirsty, and I'd get him milk and all. And then that was the only cat I ever had, but I've had a lot of dogs over the years. I definitely love dogs. I love boxers. I love chihuahuas. The only dog I don't like, the only kind I don't like, poodles. There's something gnarly about them I don't like, but I like every other kind of dog.
Favorite brand of tuna fish?
I'm sorry?
Your favorite brand of tuna fish?
My favorite brand of tuna fish? Gee, that's a good one. I guess when I was a kid, we eat chicken of the sea or Star-Kissed, I guess. Yeah, I love tuna salad. I have tuna salad sandwiches.
We're going down that road, huh? Favorite color?
Yeah. I'm colorblind. Then that's why my favorite color is white.
Too.
White is, yeah. Oh, are you really?
Too. No, I'm white colorblind. I'm a red, green, blues.
I'm green, red. Yeah, the traffic light looks white to me. The green traffic light, people, you know, that's a green light. It looks very white to me.
Yep.
I can't see greens and browns are my worst. Anchovies look green to me.
Oh.
Anchovies look green to you?
Anchovies look green, and my dad, again. I don't want to get back to my dad because my dad was a great guy. He was very generous, but I remember I said those are green, and he goes, they're brown. I go, no, they're green. He goes, God damn it, you better tell me they're brown. Yeah, Dad, they're brown. I keep threatening to hit me if I didn't give him the right color. But I had a hard time with that. And anyway, to answer the question, my favorite color is white because I love the color white. It's always beautiful, and I can always tell white. It's just a beautiful color to me.
Okay.
Right.
You know, technically, white is actually not a color. It's the absence of color.
No. Is that right? I think you're right.
It's the absence
you'd think
of color.
black was, yeah. White is the absence of color.
Black is all color.
Black is all colors. Okay. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have the same color blindness.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll tell you another one, Jeff. I have a half-colored eye. One of my eyes is half blue, half brown. I have hazel eyes. I don't know if you probably can't see it. But I have one eye that is half. It's like half. It's called.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's called heterochromosome or something. So there's some kind of name for it. But I have half colored.
Heterochromosome.
You're kind of like a husky.
It's what?
You're kind of like a husky. Two different
husky?
colors.
No, I'm not husky at all. A husky dog?
They have two different colored eyes.
Oh, huskies do? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
we're going off the rails.
You know, Paul Newman was colorblind. Paul Newman is probably the coolest guy that was colorblind. But he wanted to be a fighter pilot in World War II, and I think he couldn't do it. He was kept out of action because he was colorblind.
Yeah, you can't be pilots for some reason.
Yeah.
There's no stop signs up in the sky.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if it doesn't have a star on the side of it, the United States, you're gonna shoot it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
Yeah.
You know what I know really about Paul Newman? I read Paul Newman's biography. It was his autobiography. I read it, one of the first books I read when I came here to South Carolina. And you know what I realized? This is very insightful. I hope you get this. He's just like the rest of us. This guy's the handsomest guy in the world. He's a multi-million-dollar movie star. He's an entrepreneur, beautiful wife, beautiful family, and he was just like us. He had all these insecurities and fears and terrors and worries, and you realize you feel like you're the only one. So to anybody who's listening, don't feel you're the only one. It's just subjective what they are, but we all go through the same crap. We all have these worries, we have fears, and we have these unknowingnesses in our lives that spook us, So don't feel bad. If Paul Newman is like us, I think everybody's that way. I think there's just degrees. Some have it worse than others, but we've all got our hangups and we all have our problems. In other words, life isn't easy for any of us. This is a tough universe. Life's a tough game for any of us. We all get kicked in the balls occasionally.
Right. So now, since you brought that up, do you have any phobias?
Yes, I'm terrified of heights. I have a hard time with heights. Like when we would go to Las Vegas, when even looking out the window, I get scared. I was watching the Beatles documentary, the Get Back, and they're doing the roof concert. And Ringo and Paul, they're looking over the roof. Even that's scary. I go, geez, I would be scared. It was like the roof at Abbey Road, at the Abbey Road Studios. I don't know, it was like, or the Apple Studios, whatever it was like 6 stories, whatever. And I would be scared to look over that. So I'm scared of that. That's one of my biggest fears, heights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course,
yet in 1941, you were up in that.
In the Ferris wheel, right? We weren't. I mean, it was a big Ferris wheel, but it wasn't to the extent where I was scared. It was like 1941. It was Stephen got us the biggest Ferris wheel possible, but it was like maybe it would have been like 2 stories, so I could handle that. But when you start getting way up, like a plane, I get planes are scary to me. I can look out the window now, but I always worry about Goldfinger, getting sucked out of the window like Goldfinger. I go, oh my God, would that be a horrible way to go?
Right.
Well,
right.
Okay.
So
because I mean, most people that I know have have some sort of a phobia.
Yeah, everybody has one. Of course, we all have our phobias and our fear. It's not a phobia, but one of my things that gets me is, like I told you, motion sickness. I have bad motion sickness.
Mm-hmm.
So those are probably my 2 biggest things.
So we had a ton of comments coming in. One that just came in said, "Hey guys, I'm beyond jealous you're talking to Eugene. Grease is my favorite movie."
Thank you. Thank you, sir or ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it came from Nerds of Unusual Origin, which I believe is part of the network.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can't keep up with the comments tonight.
Right.
So, and I'm not even going to try. That's Leo's job. Leo's on vacation, folks. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
tell Leo I said hi when he comes back. Tell him I said hi.
We will.
Oh, definitely.
What's your favorite food?
That's a great question. I probably have. Oh, you know what? I miss so many. LA. I lived in LA 41 years. Hollywood. The thing I miss the most is Pink's hot dogs. The greatest hot dogs ever. Pink's hot dogs. If you're ever in LA, get Pink's hot dogs. I'm still pretty skinny. I probably weigh like 150 now. When I used to work in Greece, I weighed like 122, so I put on a little weight. But Pink's hot dogs, I could go there and have 4 hot dogs. I'd have 4 hot dogs, mustard and onions. They had these great hot chili peppers on the side, and they were so wonderful. And I have 2 grape sodas. So I love Pink's hot dogs. Be my favorite.
Are they pink?
No, they're regular hot dogs. It's just called Pink's. I don't know. That's a good question. Did a guy called Bill Pink or Sam Pink open? I don't know. But it's called Pink's. Obviously, you can Google it and find out why it's called Pink's. But the hot dogs were just regular hot dogs. They were just delicious. They're great hot dogs.
Did you ever have a red hot dog?
Are they red? I'm colorblind. Are they red hot dogs?
Oh, they are red hot dogs.
They're called red, yeah.
Because they're called red hots. Yeah, they go, get your red hots.
They're made from Maine. No. They're just regular hot dogs, but the casing is red. Literally, it's red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And also, I love the best chili I ever had. If you're ever in Burbank, if you're in the LA area, go to a place called Chili John's. Best chili I've ever had in my life. We go there. It was wonderful. And they had the best lemon cream pie for dessert. It'll kill it. Just go for the lemon cream pie. It's worth it. It's killer lemon cream pie. But those are the 2 places I miss the most in LA. Now, here I'm in South Carolina. There are wonderful restaurants out here, too. But one of the things I miss in LA, especially I miss my friends the most. But I miss the great restaurants they have out there. But those are 2 off the top of my head. Right. I love sweets. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember these. I have them right here. Mallow cups. These are my favorite candies. These are my favorites. I could eat like 10 in a row. I love them so much. I love
shameless plugged for Mallow
I love
cups.
Reese's cups. I love.
All right, those are good.
Yes. Which is my favorite. And here's one last one I'll give. These will rot your teeth, but I love sugar babies. I love sugar babies. Oh, they are no nutritional value whatsoever. They're brown sugar, which is my favorite Rolling Stones song, and it's Mick Jagger's birthday. Sugar babies. I love sugar babies.
Those will pull the filling out real quick.
This this goes back to the question where somebody asked how you had so much energy. Now we know, folks.
Oh,
Sugar, yes, I'm a sugar
Yeah.
addict. I'm definitely a sugar addict.
Sugar.
I'm a chronic gambler. I'm a terrible gambler, and one of the dumbest bets I made. I think it was my own. No, it was my friend Freddie, my best friend Freddie. We bet who could stay off sugar the longest. And for him, it was a lark. I think I lasted 4 days. I here's your $100. Here you go, sugar. I'm like an addict, without his dope, the man with the golden arm, like, so I think I lasted 4 days. It was the dumbest bet I ever made. And I paid up $100 gladly, happily.
Right. So we only have a few minutes left with this amazing guest. I know there's been a ton of comments. They're just flying by. So I'm trying to get the best of them out here, folks.
Sure.
I'm sorry. But somebody did ask, what was your favorite album cover?
What would be a Beatles? That's a great question. Let me think. Oh, yeah, of course. I love the White Album because it's my favorite color, but that's such a stupid answer. Let me think. I like Revolver. I can see Revolver in my mind. Oh, the Revolver cover I love. Yeah, the Revolver cover, I'd say. The drawing by Klaus Bormann is so cool. I love that. I love the Rubber Soul cover too. And of course, I love Abbey Road. I love, the iconic, the first one, Meet the Beatles. It was Meet the Beatles. I think it was Please Please Me in England. But it was Meet the Beatles, who were the shadows. The Beatles have all the shadow faces. But to answer the question honestly, it would be Revolver. I love Revolver with the drawings.
Excellent. So we have time for, and I know Eddie's having a blast, but I did promise that I wouldn't keep him longer than an hour because he has.
Please,
to get
if you break your word on that one, I totally will accept. If you want to go another half hour, I'm fine. Whatever's good for you. I'll go another half hour. I am so enjoying myself. You three are so cool. I'm having so much fun.
Oh, appreciate it.
Excellent. Thank you. So what we'll do is we'll split that, folks. We're going to go another 15 minutes.
Okay.
So if you have questions or comments that you would like Eddie to answer, please get them in the chat. And remember, if we're not seeing them, you have to go to one of the main pages. You have to go to Toking with the Dead main page or the Dorkening Podcast Network main page. If you're on one of the share feeds, we will not see your comments. So with that being said,
okay.
Who's got a question for this man?
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fire away.
You do a lot of signings and stuff now and such
Yes,
like that. What are some of the oddest things people have brought to you to get signed? Like
my coolest, and I know cool guys like rock stars do this all the time, but my coolest one was a breast. It wasn't at a show, but a girl was there, and her boyfriend was right there. He watched it. And she goes, "Will you sign my boob?" And I go, "Are you kidding?" Yes, I would pay her. Please. I give her a boob, but she took out her boob, and I realized you have to be very careful. You have to be gentle.
Well,
I have like tickets, and you have to be very careful when you dot those I's. You can't dot; you're gonna hurt them. So I would sign Eddie, dot the I gently, and I realized how to sign. And that was my funnest signing of an object. I'm trying to think. That question was asked to me before, and that's what stands out the most. I'm trying to think. I signed I wish I did get better, but that's the one that stands out. That wasn't at a show, though. That was just on the street. They stopped me and asked me.
I will say this. After being on our show, when you start doing signings again, because I understand that you have one coming up in South Carolina in the near future.
Yeah, we have one coming up. We're doing a Grease show in Duncan, South Carolina. They're going to screen Grease. It's called, which I've never seen, and in our country, it's a British term, and it's in our country now because of Austin Powers. They have something called the Shag, and it's called the Shag Fest, which Austin Powers, it sounds like sexual activity, but it's a dance. They have a dance called the Shag. So they have a Shag dance annually, and they're going to screen Grease there, and I'm going to be signing there, and hopefully I can do a Q&A with the audience. Hope it's as much fun as this one.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that is August 12th if you're in the area. August 12th, the Shag Fest, which is my ex-wife's birthday, August 12th. So be there August 12th in Duncan, South Carolina.
But after being on this show and people rewatching this and listening to this, like I said, we're on 22 platforms live and 19 podcast platforms. The weirdest thing that you're going to be signing in the near future is probably Rubber Puke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Or maybe some loose woman will hear this and I'll get to sign a breast again. It's been too long since I heard that.
Bring Eddie boobs.
Yes, please. Well endowed. The more well endowed, the better. And the cheaper the price will be.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's a bigger signing surface.
Yeah. I don't care. That's you're right. The bigger, the better.
Oh, my God.
Wow. So,
Robert,
do you have your own bobblehead? Have they made a bobblehead of you?
Oh, wow.
Yes, there was one. I had one years ago. I had a very bad thing. I don't know if you want to get into this, but I had heart trouble. I had open heart surgery in 2020. The nurse said you should be dead by all rights. I went through so much, such horrible times, and I was Somehow I survived it. But anyway, there was a bobblehead, and it's with on my Facebook page. If you'll see today, I had my cover photo, I go, God's gift to women, and they go, do you still have that shirt? I still have it. It was in Maryland or LA, but the junk might be gone now. Whoever's there, my family might have thrown it out, or my old roommates might have thrown some of my junk out. I don't know, but I still kept that God's gift to women that I had in LA. Somebody did make a bobblehead. I don't know. It was just an individual one the guy made for me, but I did have one.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Did he freeze
Just
on us?
curious. Wow.
Oh, no, he's there.
Oh, no, I thought you froze up.
Yep.
So
Robin wants to know what was your favorite movie you did?
There would be two, I'd say, and they're bookends. My first film, Grease, of course, is special because that was my first. Everybody's first film is special, and The Polar Express has to be special just because of Tom Hanks and my favorite director, Bob Zemeckis. So those were the two funnest, the most fun, which is like a party. People say, what was it like to film Grease, or what was it like to film Polar Express? And I always get the same answer. Remember the greatest party of your life. Remember the greatest party you went where you just had a great time and everybody was cool and everybody had a great time and you didn't want it to end. Imagine that party lasted for 2 months, and that's the way Grease was, and that's the way the Polar Express was. So those would be my two special favorites. Even though I have a lot of favorites in between, but those would be if you want my two special favorites, those would be my two favorites.
I'm too old for a party 2 months long.
Yeah, that's what it was like. Barry Pearl was in Greece. He goes, they asked him about Greece. And he goes, it was like a party. Every day was like a party. It was like fun. You're hanging out with your friends and just laughing and having a great time.
Cool.
Right.
So, Eddie, since Leo's not here, I'm going to ask his question, which he asks every guest. Is there anything that you really geek out about, like that you collect, or that you're just like amazed by, like, I don't know, aliens or ships and bottles or anything like that?
I am a nerd, as I guess everybody knows. I'm a nerd. I'm a book freak. So a new book will drive me crazy. Steve brought me, and I ordered 2 new books, and Steve brought my mail in. He got a couple new books today. So I got a new Beatles book today, and I got Inside the Comic Mind. It has an interview with Groucho. He talks about Groucho. So that book to me is a treasure. The book to me is like gold. I'd rather have books than money. They're more important than money. I've been broke in LA, my early days in LA. And if I could just get a book, I get a used book. So that's my greatest joy is reading. I love movies. I'm a movie nut. I've seen, all the Marx Brothers films. I'm a Three Stooges nut. I'm a Laurel and Hardy nut. I'm a Jerry Lewis nut, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis nut. I'm a Woody Allen nut. I love Mel Brooks. Movies I love. And I love, a lot of serious movies. I watched My Favorite Year. I don't know if you guys have seen that. I watched it last night. One of the most beautiful movies ever made. I recommend it to any of you guys or anybody who sees it. You'll laugh, you'll cry. Peter O'Toole's in it. It's a great, beautiful movie. So I'm a movie freak. I'm a Beatles freak. I've been a Beatles nut since I was a kid. I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show when they were on. I remember when they came to America. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I know everything there is to know. Feel free to throw any Beatles trivia to me. I'll know that. And I know old-time baseball. I'm an old-time baseball freak. Not new stuff, but up to like 1990. I can tell you Sandy Koufax, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Don Drysdale, Ty Cobb. I can tell you any of their stats. And I can tell you any pennant winner. Ask me any pennant winner from 1903, 1901, to about 1988. I'll tell you any pennant winner, any World Series winner, any who played in the World Series. Ask me any of those. Wow. Or any Beatles trivia.
That's impressive.
Like I said,
I can barely remember yesterday.
He's a wealth of knowledge here.
That's my wheelhouse. You're talking my wheelhouse. That's it. But other stuff I'm ignorant in.
Right. So we had another question come in, and it was because you mentioned books. Who's your favorite author?
Oh, Jenny.
That's a great question. I like, okay, this is going to sound like a dumb answer. I don't know if you know, I have a friend named James Nybauer who writes showbiz books. He wrote the films of Jerry Lewis and all. You might not have heard him, but he's a great prolific writer. Look him up. His name is James Nybauer. He has a new book coming out, I think, on the films of Bruce Willis, but he did the films of Jerry Lewis. He's doing films of Laurel and Hardy, and he's a dear friend of mine. He's a great writer. He's a wonderful guy.
Excellent. I think we might have to mail this gentleman one of our books, Jeff. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Sure. What's it about?
Steve, I'll let you fill him in on that one later, or you can call me.
Okay.
Basically, we took the 2 biggest things in the country 4 years ago, which was zombies and the decriminalization of cannabis, and we put them together.
Okay.
So, and it actually spiraled. We wrote the novel. Jeff and I wrote the novel, which was just released 2 months ago. But from that, we pulled 5 comic books, started a live TV series, now spinning into animation, and this great show. And this great
Very
show
cool.
spiraled from that.
Well, muzzle top. You can do animation now. You know, the straight doesn't affect that. I think you're okay with animation, I think. Am I wrong?
No, you can do animation.
Yeah, so you can muzzle top. Good luck.
Yeah. So it's been fun.
If you need a voice, you know, I love doing voiceover. So if you ever need one, Steve can set up so I can record here. If you ever need my voice, I'll be happy to be on your show.
There you
for
go.
your animation.
That'd be a big name for the cartoon.
Oh, God, I'd love it. I love doing animation.
Absolutely.
Like every animation actor in the world, of course, the dream is, of course, it's like playing with Babe Ruth. I'd love to do a Simpsons. I've never done a Simpsons, but that would be on my bucket list. If I could do anything, I'd love to do a Simpsons.
See,
that's
I'm
the
surprised
show.
about that.
Yeah, they've never had me on. Yeah, and I know I've worked with Dan several times. Dan Castellaneta. I worked with him the first time, and they go, you know, Homer Simpson's coming in, and you're expecting this big fat slob, you know, with a beer, and he's this slim guy, this sweet, mild-mannered guy. He's like, hello, he's just a great guy, very highly intelligent, not like Homer. He's the antithesis of Homer. He's a brilliant guy, and he's a really nice guy. Nancy's a friend of mine, but I've never worked with her. But we're old friends, and I saw the one girl at a restaurant, Yardley Smith, who plays Lisa. I started a restaurant across the table. I never approached her, but I started a restaurant in LA. It was an outdoor restaurant.
Well, I wouldn't even know what they look like.
Right.
Other than the cartoon.
Yeah, I'd have to hear them talk. I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So somebody asked, is Deezen your stage name or your real name? But I think we covered that at the beginning of the show. So you're going to have to go back and rewatch this show.
Yeah, please. Yeah. We don't do reruns here.
No, we've
already answered that.
And just
if you missed me talking about my affair with Tanya Harding, then you missed it.
Yeah, it's gone. Never again will that story be told.
Yes. Hi, Tanya, if you're there. I love you. She's very lovely. I'll tell you, want to hear my other makeout story?
Sure.
Yeah, what do you got?
I did a film called Mob Boss by a great director named Fred Olin Ray, I love him. He's a dear friend. I did 3 films with him. He's a B movie director, and he knows it. But it's called Mob Boss. It's one of my best B movies. But anyway, Morgan Fairchild is like my gun moll, and I'm like the head of the mob, you know. And Morgan's my girlfriend. Anyway, there's a scene where the old gag, you know, the nerdy guy makes out with the hot girl, and he turns on his glasses are steamed up. So we're going to do that scene. I make out with Morgan and my glass. So I'm, you know, I get to make out with Morgan Fairchild, you know. So anyway, we're there with rehearsal. And Morgan goes, Eddie, do you want to rehearse a couple times? I'm thinking, you're kidding, right? You know, I'm like, oh my God, this God answered my prayer. So we made out with her, and she, you know, she held me to the right, she held me to the left. I got to make out with her, and she was a great kisser too. Beautiful kisser.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she's lovely.
I want to be an actor just because of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you another Morgan Fairchild story, because this is how a guy thinks. This is the guy thing. We would all have lunch together, and Morgan, I think because she's really a celebrity, and I would have lunch with the cast and crew, and Morgan would always have lunch alone in her trailer. So one day after a couple of weeks, she goes, Eddie, do you want to have lunch with me? So of course I'm thinking, being a guy, I'm thinking she wants to have sex with me, you know. She's going to consummate our relationship. I go, and all day I was thinking, like, this is summer of 42. I'm going to make love with this beautiful older woman, Morgan Fairchild. So she goes, I knock on the door, and there's lunch there. So we had lunch, you know, story of my life. Of course, she doesn't want to have sex with you idiot. But I thought I was going to have sex with Morgan Fairchild. We had a beautiful lunch together. She told me her whole life story, and it was a beautiful lunch, one of the best lunches in my life.
No.
Except for no sex.
Great.
Yeah, no sex. That was a disappointment. It's her loss.
Yeah. You hear that, Morgan Fairchild?
That's right.
You hear that?
Yeah, because
you don't know what you missed, Morgan.
We already determined that Eddie's got size 13 shoes.
Yeah,
right?
14.
14. Sorry. I cut an inch off, Eddie. My bad.
I have these big Charlie Chaplin clown shoes, so whatever that tells you.
Okay.
We got about 2 minutes left with this amazing guest, folks, and then we have to let him go because Jar Jar does have to get prepped for another show tonight.
Okay.
And, I don't want his manager calling me and being like, "You prompt." No, I'm just kidding.
No, Steve's a very nice guy. He'll understand it. I'm the one that caused it. If Steve gets mad, I'll take the blame. Steve is a totally nice guy. I'm serious. Steve won't get mad. He's a nice guy.
No, Steve's a great guy, but he's in the other room right now going, Eddie, your dinner's been done for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then he's like, I got candy. I'm good. Don't worry.
So I have one final question.
Sure.
Who would you like to work with that you haven't had the chance to yet?
Great question. Let me think of that. That's a great question. I would say it's still living. You're not going into the past.
Yeah, I would prefer they'd be alive unless you're a grave robber or something.
No, okay. Well, I said Henry Winkler. One of my bucket lists is to meet Henry Winkler. I'd love to work with him. Who else do I love? None of the great dramatic actors. I couldn't hold a candle to them. Of the modern comedians, I'm such a reactionary comedy wise. I guess I would say Henry Winkler. I'd love to work with Henry Winkler. I've been a huge fan. I watched Happy Days from the word go. I've always loved them. And I've done. We're both on the signing show circuit. And for some reason, I've never run into him. You know, you cross paths with everybody. William Shatner, I worked with, and really Adam West, I knew, Burt Ward, all these great guys, but I've never met Henry Winkler. So he would be my bucket list to meet him, and to work with him would be doubly great. And I've heard only great things about him. He's supposedly the nicest guy in the world.
Excellent, excellent.
Very
Jar
good.
Jar, do you have a last question for our amazing guest?
I think anything else I have to ask would get really deep and stuff.
So join us next year for Take 2 with Eddie Deezen. But make sure you check out the show notes up above or down below, folks, because, you know, Eddie's done so much and he does have his new cameo out there. We really, you know, we want you to go over and just take a look. I mean, he'll do a personal message to some people.
Yeah, I do them all the time. And people say, I get good ratings, and I love Steve, and I try to make them special for everybody, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary. Or some people just say, you know, this is just to cheer somebody up. And Steve and I'll try to cheer somebody up.
Right.
You know, whatever. They're nice to make, and it makes people happy. So that's the fun of them.
So I don't have any last questions, because if I have questions, I'll just call Steve.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
But we do have somebody in the chat that has, I didn't see these before, Sergio. I apologize. He asked if you could do a line as Eugene from Grease to close out the show.
I only have like 3 or 4 lines, so I'm trying to think what I say. Oh yeah, I remember. I throw my big scene is where I get hit in the face with a pie. That's my first scene. That's my big scene that everybody remembers by me buying Grease. So it goes, Sid Caesar's there, and he goes, "You're a great pitcher. What's your name?" "It's Eugene." He goes, "You're a great pitcher." And I go, "Oh, thank you." Whap. Barry Pearl slaps me with a pie. Now, trivia about that. One of the questions I got asked all over the years, I've been asked a million times, what kind of pie was that? What kind of pie did you get hit with? And the answer was, it was not a pie. I thought it was whipped cream, because a pie doesn't stay on your face. A pie just goes all gooey. They wanted it to stay on my face and have this thing. So I thought it was whipped cream. I always thought they used whipped. Yeah, it was shaving cream, right. Barry said, Barry Pearl, I didn't know if you, Barry said, no, it was shaving cream. So it was shaving cream because it sticks on your face.
So my question to that question is, did you lick the pie off your face?
No, I absolutely did not. I remember to this day, I can remember being there. They took it, and the nice girl cleaned my glass. You know, she took my glass and cleaned my glasses off, I remember. And we did like 3 or 4 takes of that. It was fun. Sid Caesar was a great guy.
I had read that before, that they use shaving cream just because it gives it that look.
I don't know, did the Three Stooges use that? When the Three Stooges had pie bites, was that shaving cream?
It was shaving cream, yep.
It was shaving cream, okay. So that's an old Hollywood trick.
Right,
right.
Okay.
It sticks.
So
it sticks,
On that last little tidbit there from our great guest, I'm going to wrap the show up so that we can let him go. I just ask you to hang tight until I tell you the show's over, Eddie, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Let's see. Let's go. Jar Jar.
Hey,
where do you like people fondling you on social? I mean, interacting with you on social media.
You can fondle me on, just Google me. No, check me out on Facebook, Jeremy Courtney, and check out Splash Pages every Tuesday night here on Facebook or on YouTube, and every Wednesday night check out Midweek Geeks.
That's it.
That's it. That's
no
all.
Buy, sell, trade.
I'm going to Terrificon this weekend, so everybody come check out Terrificon with me and come meet me if you want to. I wouldn't, but you can if you want to.
No.
Are you signing, Jar Jar?
No. I'm actually doing interviews.
Okay, cool. Have a fun time. Have a good time.
Thank you.
Jeffrey.
Yes. As always, stilltalking.com.
Oh, wait, I screwed up. Hold on.
Yeah, you did.
I screwed up.
Yeah, you did. But that's all right.
Just hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts. Don't be grumpy. Hold your thoughts.
I got them.
Let's go to the guest. Eddie, where do you like interacting with your fans?
Please go to my Facebook page. I love Facebook. I'm a Facebook nut. The one thing I hate about Facebook is there's a 5,000 friend maximum, and I hate that rule because there's so many wonderful people. I'd love to have all 3 of you as my Facebook friends, but unfortunately, I'm at the limit of 5,000. And I've been doing it recently. I've been dropping people for no reason, and it upsets people. So I try not to do that unless it's really necessary. I will drop people only for 2 reasons. One is if they have 5,000 friends themselves. I figure if I drop them, they'll never notice. But some of them have. And then, or I'll drop somebody like, I had a lady today, and I looked at her page to wish her a happy birthday. And her last post was January 23rd. So I figured this lady I can drop, she'll never notice. But please look at my Facebook page. You can still follow me, even if you can't be my friend. And I put out every day. It's my joy every day. And yeah, please get a Cameo video if you can. Please see me on Cameo video, buy a Cameo video, and I'll be glad to do them for you. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. Okay, Jeffrey, now it's your turn.
Oh, I thought I was done. No?
You can be if you'd like to be.
Yeah, no, go to stilltoking.com. You'll find all our social media links. Yeah, I'm a Facebook guy. I'm just learning about TikTok now. I know that, we have a TikTok page, Toking with the Dead. You can go check that out. It's social media is just weird to me. But typically on Facebook, don't look me up personally because, there's a lot of me's out there.
Yeah.
I guess I'm very
see your point, Jeff. I see your point. It can get weird, but you have to, like anything in life, you have to weigh the good against the bad. I find Facebook is 96% good. 4% you're going to get these jerks, these assholes, but it's almost good people. It's almost all good people. My friends are always good. But occasionally, I'll have to block somebody. They'll make some kind of a crack or something.
The weird ones. The really weird ones are when you get these random messages from people that you don't even know. Hey, do you remember me?
Well, that's at least that's a PM. But when I have like a thread and it's nice people and they'll say something mean, they say something mean to one of my friends, or they'll say something rude to me, I'll block them like that. I just got to the point you don't even quibble about it, just block them. That's the cool thing about Facebook. In real life, if you meet a jerk or an asshole, you're stuck with them. You have to meet. But in Facebook, you push the block button. It's the easiest thing in the world. So if you meet a jerk, just push block.
I agree with you. With you. So Toking with the Dead on Facebook. Still Toking With is also on Facebook. But all the links on stilltoking.com. Where there's links for our book. You got to get our new book. The reviews and the feedback we're getting is phenomenal.
I'll look forward to getting my copy. I'll look forward to my copy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll get a copy out to you. Maybe we'll sign it. Maybe we won't.
Okay, whatever.
No, we'll hook you up.
Thank you.
Coming from Grumpy, Yep.
Thank you, Grumpy.
So I want to thank Eddie for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Check out the show notes up above or down below. If you want to see us, we're going to be in Columbus, Georgia next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend. I believe it's the 6th, 7th, and 8th, or 5th, 6th, and 7th, or something like that.
Yeah, it's whatever, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, yep. Just head over to stilltoking.com, head over to Toking with the Dead. Toking with the Dead has our tour pinned to the top. We're going to be in Columbus, Georgia, then we're going to be in Maryland, and then we're going to be in Virginia, and then we're going to be in Boxborough, Mass, and we got private signings. But again, thank you to Eddie for coming and hanging out with us tonight. To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe.
Amen. Amen.
We'll see you next week.
Peace.